DSNesmith's The Age of Wings and Stew. Read by Strangest Amethyst. Chapter 11. A Spoonful of Sugar. Rye swam lazily through the clouds. The sun was shining all around him, lighting up the top of the fluffy whiteness. He dived back down into the cloud, paddling forward. He poked his head out the bottom, looking down at the distant ground. He stretched his legs and cracked his neck. Taking a breath, he dove from the bottom of the cloud, soaring down. He spread his wings and flapped, swooping up and around the cloud. He grinned as the air rushed past his face. He swung around to the top, landing back on the puffy white cumulus. "What a beautiful day," he said to himself, enjoying the warmth from the sun high above. "Strudel!" He looked to his side and, to his surprise, found Inga. "What are you doing here?" he asked, confused. "Let's get moving," said Inga, looking impatient. "Where are we going?" Rye felt lost. He was just up here enjoying his cloud. Why was Inga pestering him? Inga walked up to him and started shaking his shoulder. Rye shoved away his leg, puzzled. "What are you doing?" "Rise and shine, Pegacorn!" The clouds melted away as Rye woke to find Inga's face about a foot away from his own. The firewing was shaking him, looking quite annoyed. "Get up already! We've got a lot of ground to cover today." Rye groaned and rolled over, away from the Pegasus. "Oh, that was a perfectly good dream." "I'm sure. Do you want breakfast or not?" Rye squinted up at the sky, trying to hold on to the feeling of soaring through the air. "What do we have?" "Let's see, apples, oats, apples, or, if you want something different, apples." Rye made a face. "Oh, forget it." Instead, he rolled over and pulled out some grass with his teeth, munching on it. They'd been travelling for nearly a week. It had been 5 days since that fateful encounter in the forest, and Rye was starting to adjust to the difficulties of the journey. He felt energised by the vibrant grassland, the rolling hills, and the open road. He'd never spent such a long time out of the cramped, crowded city before, and he was beginning to enjoy himself. Inga had wanted to be much farther along by this point, but Rye had finally put his hoof down in protest. He couldn't spend day after day running at the breakneck pace the firewings set. His legs were going to give out on him. So instead their journey had become a leisurely walk, taking in the scenery. Inga fumed naturally, but despite his protest they were actually making pretty good time. "How close are we to the Antlerwood?" "At this speed," Inga harumphed. "Likely a few days' journey." He marched ahead solidly, as Rye sighed. Conversation with Inga had run dry since their last talk. Rye was reluctant to reveal any more about his family to Inga, and the Pegasus wasn't exactly forthcoming with details about his own life. He still seemed to resent having Rye along, the icy silence freezing any attempts to strike up a friendly chat. As they trotted down the road, Rye looked wistfully up at the clouds. Flying in the dream had felt so fantastic. He spared a gloomy glance at his wings, remembering his ill-fated attempts to emulate his mother during his youth. "Oh, Rye, how could you? You could have been killed!" "Dad, I didn't get hurt. Your father and I expect better out of you, Rye." "Mum, I just wanted to..." "If I ever catch you on the bakery roof again, I swear I'll lock you in the house for a week. Do not scare me like that." He banished the memory, instead turning his thoughts to the task that lay before them. The ponies of Sleipnord waited beyond the border. They were huge, warlike, descendants of the ponies who'd refused to flee south from the never-ending winter, and that was the extent of his knowledge about them. He smiled regretfully. Despite Cranberry's best efforts, Rye had never taken much of an interest in old civilizations. He preferred reading about equestrian history, especially if the firewings were involved. And thinking of the firewings, he glanced ahead at Inga. The Pegasus hadn't exactly been a sterling example of chivalry so far. Well, not every pony could be like the tails, he supposed. He of all ponies should realise that the firewings were no different from regular ponies. His mother was a magnificent mare, but she was hardly infallible, though Inga seemed to think she was. Rye suppressed a smirk as he realised that he knew Inga's idol better than the Pegasus ever would. Nord ponies, right. So how was he supposed to convince these thanes to help? And what exactly was a thane, anyway? He thought it might be equivalent to an earl or a duke, but he couldn't for the life of him remember. He was beginning to regret not paying closer attention to Cranberry that day in the marketplace. Rye was so concentrated on the task ahead that he bumped straight into Inga. The Pegasus was standing stock still in the middle of the road, his wings spread and his head cocked back to listen. Rye looked around in confusion. "Inga? What's wrong?" "Shh!" The firewing looked behind them, squinting. keep walking. They set off side by side at a sedate pace. What's going on? Whispered Rye out the side of his mouth. We're being followed, said Inga. I wasn't certain at first. I decided to wait till we passed the crossroads to be sure. They've been on our tail ever since the second day. They've probably been after us since Cancelot. Who is it? Asked Rye, looking back with a nervous expression. Don't look back. Keep your eyes forward. Inga was scanning the road ahead. His eyes lit up as he spotted a large line of trees in the distance. I'm not sure who they are. It's not a griffin, I can tell you that much. None of them could have kept that pace for that long. I doubt any sane pony would either, he thought. Do you think it's some pony serving Duchess Belle or Duke Blueblood? It's crossed my mind. We'll know soon enough. They were closing on the tree. I'm going to set an ambush for them. You keep walking on ahead. If I yell run, then run. Rye's stomach swam. Got it. As they passed the trees, Inga flapped his wings mightily and swooped up into one. He nestled in the upper branches, blending into the red and gold autumn leaves. Rye continued on without a backwards look. He started walking as slowly as he could, not wanting to get too far away in case Inga needed his help. He heard the growing sound of some pony humming in the distance behind him. What kind of spy sings tiptoe through the tulips while they stalk a target? He frowned in puzzlement, but didn't dare turn around. Suddenly there was the sound of a snapping tree branch and a loud shriek of surprise. Rye froze in disbelief. That couldn't possibly be who he thought it was. And it was. As he whirled around and galloped back toward the line of trees, Rye saw the Pegasus tangling on the ground with a very familiar pink mare. She screamed again as Rye ran up to the pair of them. Help! Help! Bandits! Rye stood staring at Cranberry and Inga as they rolled around. Cranberry's saddlebags had spilled open, throwing books and maps all over the road. There was a smack as one of Cranberry's hooves connected with Inga's face. The Pegasus was stunned briefly, long enough for Rye to rush in and pull the two apart. Rye! Exclaimed Cranberry. This guy just tried to kill me! She sounded more excited than scared. Rye dragged a leg across his face. Cranberry, what are you doing here? Hello to you too, she said huffily. The pink pony stood up, brushing dust out of her mane with a hoof. She looked over at Inga, who was nursing a bloody nose and scowling. Is this that guy you left Canterlot with? Rye gave a long, beseeching look to the heavens. Cranberry, he repeated. What are you doing here? Well, she said, blushing. Following you, actually. And why are you following us? Cranberry looked at him pleadingly. Right, you said you were going to Sleipnord. This is the chance of a lifetime. I've always wanted to go there. What about your sister? Rye's initial surprise was rapidly turning into exasperation. Inkpot thinks I'm going on a camping trip. That's what I told your father, too. You told my father I'm going camping? He rolled his eyes. Cranberry. Well, I had to think of something on pretty short notice. I couldn't risk letting you get too far ahead after all. It's been hard enough catching you as is. She put on a disapproving frown. How could you just run off like this without me? You're being awfully selfish, Rye. Well, at least I'm here now to keep an eye on you. Excuse me? Inga was seething. I don't think so. Cranberry rounded on the Pegasus, puffing up angrily. And you! Stealing off with my best friend in the dead of night without so much as a by your leave, then attacking an innocent highway traveller. I swear, you're the most bad-tempered, ill-mannered, inconsiderate pony I've ever met. Inga was taken aback, trying to recover some of his composure. Look, Miss Sugar, was it? I'm sorry if I've upset you, but we really don't have time for niceties. Clearly. She turned her head up dismissively. Well, if you two are done fooling around, mind helping me pack up my things so we can get going? Inga scowled. Absolutely not. You're turning around and going straight back to Cancelot. And who are you bossy little ingrate? I'm here to help you. Inga puffed out his chest and raised his head. I am Inga of the Firewing, servant to Her Majesty Princess Celestia and a guardian of the realm. How impressive. Cranberry didn't sound very impressed. Right, why is this guy following you? We're, sort of travelling together. Rye looked between the two of them. He was beginning to feel a headache coming on. Look, Cranberry, I know you mean well, but I really don't think this is a good idea. Sure it is. You need the Thanes to help you fight off the Griffins, and who would know more about how to convince them than Canterlot's resident expert in Sleipnordic culture? When Rye didn't respond, she helpfully added, that would be me. Inga was stunned. How did you know about the Griffins? Oh, come on, I can put two and two together. Why does every pony think I'm an idiot?
Rye's mother getting put on active duty, a royal guard sneaking out of the city on a mission to Sleipnord, all these rumours about invaders to the south. Grypha's been looking to re-expand its territory ever since the end of the Great War. They've been eyeing the southern farmlands for a long time now. It's only natural to assume they'd invade eventually, and it's just as natural to assume that the princess would seek help from the Nord ponies like she has in ages past. You know, the two of you would learn a lot if you just read a book every now and then. It's 4, by the way.
4? Inga looked hopelessly lost by this point. Rye shook his head in dismay. Cranberry, are you crazy? This isn't a vacation we're going on, we're trying to get an army.
And how are you going to do that without speaking Sleipnordic, I don't presume either of you do?
Rye looked sideways at Inga. How were we going to handle that?
I was planning to pick up a translator from the watchtower at the mountain pass, said Inga. Look, Miss Sugar, we appreciate your concern, but it would be best for all involved if you could just return to your home and let us do our job.
Oh, that's nonsense. I'll be a huge help to you both, you'll see. I brought my map collection and everything.
I don't think that we'll...
Besides, you got no chance of getting there out without some pony that understands their culture.
Inga's patience had finally run out.
No, Sleipnord is extremely dangerous. It's no place for...
For a mare?
Asked Cranberry, tartly.
For a civilian. I'm only taking him along because the princess ordered me to. I'm not lugging you around too.
I'm not a sack of flour, said Rye, annoyed.
You aren't lugging me anywhere. I can pull my own weight.
Inga glared at him.
That remains to be seen, Pegacorn.
Rye flinched.
Look,
said Cranberry.
I'm going to follow you whether you want me to or not. So we can do this the easy way, or the really annoying way. You might as well let me travel with you.
She's not kidding, said Rye with resignation. She'll pester us forever until she gets what she wants. Cranberry stuck her tongue out at him. And she's right, we do need some pony who can speak Sleipnordic. Might as well be one we already know, right? Inga sighed in exasperation.
Oh, we don't have time to escort her back to the city.
He looked at Rye, finding no support.
I suppose we don't really have a choice, do we?
No, said Cranberry sourly. You don't. She brightened.
Besides, it'll be fun. We'll get to see the Hall of Saddlestead and the Dragon Lake and... Oh, maybe even the Giant's Forest if we're lucky. This is going to be so great!
Rye couldn't help but smile. Come on then, let's get your books. He helped her pick up her collection of maps and books and shoved them all into the saddlebags. As they worked, Inga started walking down the road, muttering to himself. So Cranberry, asked Rye as he knelt to grab a dirty map of northern Equestria, why are you really here?
That obvious, am I?
Cranberry gave a regretful laugh.
I'm here because you need me. I'm not going to let you wander off into the unknown without a friend at your back.
She scowled in Inga's direction.
He doesn't count.
He's not so bad, once you get to know him a little. Cranberry crooked an eyebrow.
Rye, he calls you Pegacorn.
Rye cringed. Well, she smiled at him.
Don't worry, Rye. I'm here to help you. We'll make it to Sleipnord and get help for the princess in no time.
She slid the last map into her left saddlebag and clamped the buckle shut over the bulging pouch.
Alright, we better catch up to him before he gets lost. It's hard to see where you're going when you got your head stuck that far up your arse.
Rye snorted. The two of them ran to catch up to Inga, who was still marching on ahead. After spending several days with the dour, humourless Inga, Cranberry's presence was like a breath of fresh air. She chatted endlessly about Sleipnord, her latest books, what she'd had for breakfast yesterday, anything and everything that popped into her mind. Rye, grateful for the chance to talk, kept up the conversation by explaining what had happened to him over the past week. Cranberry was an excellent audience, oohing and ahhing in all the right places. When he told her about Dawn, she sniffled back a tear.
She sounds like a really brave pony. I wish I could have met her.
She was, said Rye sadly. I just hope we're not too late to stop the Griffins from coming north, or there'll be a lot more like her. He told Cranberry about the audience with the princess and the trip out of Canterlot. Ahead, Inga kept pressing on faster and faster in a doomed attempt to run the two of them out of breath. Their hooves sped up, but Cranberry's mouth did not slow down. Inga finally gave up and assumed a steady walk, flattening his ears to try and block out Cranberry's incessant chatter. Eventually the talk turned to their childhood.
You remember that time you stole old Blossomforth's cane? Asked Cranberry, laughing.
Oh, don't remind me,
said Rye, blushing.
Don't worry, princess, I'll save you,
shouted Cranberry, waving her front legs in a pantomime of battle. She laughed at him. It wasn't a very good sword, he said morosely. It broke after I tried slaying the bakery with it. Cranberry giggled.
Oh, you were such a cute foal, Rye.
She made a gagging motion.
What happened?
Oh, please, he said, preening. I'm irresistible. He tossed his mane. Cranberry snorted and burst out laughing. Ahead of them, Inga sighed. It was going to be a long journey.